So we are just about nearly on time. So I will give the word to the presentation of Dr. Eva María Méndez Rodríguez, which probably Pep would like to pronounce correctly. And she's the Deputy Vice President for Scientific Policy at the University of Carlos III de Madrid. And it's okay. If you are able to pronounce Swedish, it's fine with me. We're very pleased to have you with us. Your speech is entitled Open Science to Build Parachutes in the Post-COVID Time. Eva holds a PhD in Library and Information Sciences and is an expert in metadata. And you define herself in your Twitter profile as an open knowledge militant. Your deputy vice president, did I say yes, something wrong? Sorry for that. You have been an active member of several international research teams, advisory boards and communities, including DCMI, Open Air, Metadata 2020, RDA, etc. And she was awarded a Fulbright Research Scholarship at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, USA, and you've taken part and led several research projects, acted as advisor to many more in the fields related to standardization, metadata, semantic web, open data, digital repositories, and libraries. So we are very pleased to have you. I invite you to, you are sharing your screen, so that's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me perfectly, right? Good.
We can.
Good. Thank you very much for the invitation. Of course, it is a pleasure for me to talk in the Open Access Week that now we should call it Open Science Week. But I agree with Pep that the open science should be the whole year, not only 1 week that we are all crazy connecting here, traveling there. So I would love to be today in Florence, but I have a lot of commitments. And the only way to do it, it was sitting down in my office instead of seeing the Duomo and having a nice pasta with you guys. Next time. So I'm very pleased to share this panel with the previous speakers because you have set up the road of what I'm trying to wrap up on the directions where we are going. What are we doing? What is the next steps that we have to follow? And my presentation will focus a bit on the final report of the European Open Science Policy Platform that I was the chair for the second mandate, and it was kind of the push forward, what I call the declaration mode to the implementation mode. In that report, we try to defend what I call the practical commitments for implementation, the PCIs, which is something realistic that you can do on terms of open science and open access. Because my concern is all the time that everybody is making recommendations, and then it's very little what you can do in your institution with your shoes, etc. For example, a PCI, a practical commitment for implementation, is something that I can do in my own institution as Deputy Vice President for Research Policies, taking into account the context of the Spanish policies, taking into account the reluctance of my researchers to apply open science, being realistic, how can you move forward to the practical implementation? So I think we are right now in that moment in every country, in every institution, we are trying to just move forward. And we have done a lot of things in the last 15 years, but it seems that like the Groundhog Day, every year in the Open Access Week is again the same. But I have heard different new ideas and different new perspectives. And also the second part of my presentation, the wrapping up where we are, where we have to go, I want to pin down some lessons learned from the COVID-19, but that I think they are not enough. Because the point is that I think when I told you about the Groundhog Day is that we seem that we are changing the date, not the target. So the target is still the same, but we are just changing and making an extension of the deadline to accomplish this target. Just to let me remind you something. This guy was the inventor of the web. This guy was who invented the most revolutionary way to communicate science. But unfortunately, we keep communicating science in the same way as in the 19th century. We keep saying paper, page, author, version, publisher version. Excuse me, we only need the web. So if what Tim Berners-Lee said about the web is that the web is for everyone and collectively we hold the power to change it. It won't be easy, but if we dream a little and work a lot, we can get it the web we want. And we can translate that to science. It's exactly because science circulates on the web and should circulate on the web. So what is next for science is to apply the web principles, link open data, semantic web, just to share, just to communicate, social communication, and a lot of things that we seem that we have not learned in the last 50 years from the web. When we talk about open science, we always talk about that it's an umbrella term, and there are multiple versions of that. Most of you probably know my version of the umbrella term that I transform it in a mushroom, a biologically incorrect mushroom, because the mushrooms, they don't have proper roots, but open science needs proper roots. That's why I made them in red. And I say we need a new research infrastructures. We need new research integrity framework, and also we need a new reward system. If we don't have these three big elements, open science cannot flourish. And also something that is very important for me. So I don't want only to talk about open access, open access, open access. We have been talking also about open research data, but also let me talk about citizen science and giving science to the society. And also I was very pleased to hear about reproducibility, because it's what science is for. And now we are just showing up to the whole society. In the final report of the Open Science Policy Platform, we tried to create a system, what we call the shared knowledge system, where we dream about these 5 elements: an academic career structure that fosters outputs, practices, and behaviors to maximize the contributions to this new shared research system. Also, we need a research system that is reliable, transparent, and trustworthy. And a negative effect of the COVID-19 was that sometimes people were reluctant to believe in science because it was such a big misinformation, huge overload of information that people sometimes didn't realize on the scientific system. And also we need a scientific system that enables innovation. Sometimes intellectual property rights and the industry are not faced to each other. They have to contribute to make a new innovation system. And also we need a research culture that facilitates diversity and equity of opportunity. This is the focus of this year, a leitmotif of the Open Access Week that is completely inspired in the new declaration of UNESCO, that open science is about sustainable development goal 10, is not letting people behind, not for the wealthy universities that you mentioned, the first speaker mentioned in the first speech, that we are in the first world, we click and we have access to the paper. But what happened in Kyrgyzstan? What happened in Kazakhstan? They need a Sci-Hub probably. Okay, and also the last element of this knowledge share system is a research system that is built up on evidence. That's why we need meta research for open science. This is one of my actual research fields, and also is where the reproducibility in the psychology and the economist, they rely on this meta research for open science. When I mentioned that sometimes we don't change the target, we change the time, we change the deadline for addressing this achievement, is that we thought that the subscription model will crash on the 27th. Then we said on the 2020. Then when we thought that we cannot accomplish Plan S in 2020, we said 2021. And then now we are talking about the universities in 2030, but then COVID came. So it is right now when the COVID appeared, we need open science. And even the publishers, they were pretty interested in making bronze, by the way, open access papers. And they were interested in give the open access to the society. But also the OECD was what pointed out why the open science is critical to combat the COVID-19. First, because we need to ensure that the policymakers need adequate data governance models and interoperable standards. That it was something that the previous speaker, I don't remember your name, sorry, you mentioned about the standards and the new developments on the way we have data management in the connection with the publications. We need sustainable data sharing agreements that we also need to involve private sector. That's why the innovation comes through. We need incentives for researchers, sustainable infrastructures, and human and institutional capabilities that we can access to data across borders. And COVID-19 pointed out that we need all these things to be capable to discover, to have new discoveries, because we couldn't have a vaccination in the time that we had if we don't have collaborative science and if we don't have open science. Of course, there is completely good to make money out of research, but it's not in the ways where we are just dealing with the international global health problem. That's where open science came to many of the highlights of the news. The open science takes on the coronavirus pandemic. Even my colleagues on the Paola Mazzuso and her colleagues, that they came up better and they say open science save lives, that I do really agree upon that. But also Pep was saying in the introduction that you have for the first time in the European University Institute the bigger open access than the subscription. But in February this year was the first time that open access surpassed subscription publication globally for the first time in the whole 15 years that we have been preaching and talking about open access. It's clear that the policies have an evolution. Here you have the evolution of the European Commission policies, which is the leitmotif that makes the roadmap for all the institutions and all the funders to go through the research policies. And also in the 2021, when Horizon Europe was launched, open access is just a by default situation that even if you have an open access publication in the new European platform in the Open Research Europe, you still have to deposit in the green open access. People forgets, and I thought that the ecstasy of the goal was a very inspiring title for your presentation, because it's true, we forget that we are the owners of our research, and our institutions pays for the light where we do research and for the light where we do reviews for the publishers. So that's a thing that we have to remember, that we need to have open access in our own hands, which is the green open access. And also open science plays a role in the whole evaluation process. So open science is not anymore something that happened in the impact after the research is finished, in the dissemination plan, in the publication. Open science starts at the beginning of the process and should be shared as soon as possible and as openly available as possible. Not only the research outcome, but also the research data, the analysis, the hypothesis, and the ideas. This is where the pre-registration that we heard at the beginning of this afternoon was so important. So, but even if we have an evolution in these policies, and the COVID just underlined that we need it, probably it sounds familiar for you what this librarian is saying, Steve, a librarian, that he said, do the publishers mock us? My university cannot afford journal subscription anymore. It was what Demi was saying, that the transformative agreements is in the approach that the universities and the institutions, we have enough money. But when we talk about transformative agreements, we are talking about when we put the money, not how much. Is before or after. That's it. But we have never seen about a transformative model that really push over the communication, the scientific communication, to a way where the web has taught us. And the key issues that we don't have yet resolved is the reward system, the evaluation, the research, the open peer review. Of course, the new ways to evaluate researchers, that we need to new open indicators. We need to kill off the journal impact factor, which is the elephant of the room when we talk about open science. We need publications and data to make science reproducible and replicable. And we need better education in open science to eliminate that open science is just paying for publishing, which is a very, very big mistake that is making the new gold open access models very, very bad reputation. Of course, we need research evaluation, and we need a research evaluation that is feasible for every field and for every institution. And of course, one size does not fit all. So this is very challenging to make a fair evaluation system, but I think we can do it better with the journal impact factor that is absolutely biased and is absolutely out of date. But of course, we need to have this coherence of the research evaluation with the reward system. We don't need only new indicators. We need that the indicators are taken into account for making the research career available. That's why the European Commission has been working this year. We finished the mandate of the Open Science Policy Platform last year, but this year we have a lot of meetings of what it is called the Stakeholders Forum. And one of them was exactly about reform and research assessment, and also about reproducibility of scientific results, which are the two main key issues that a political level top down can address. So it is supposed that at the end of this fall, probably at the end of November, the Commission will be the facilitator of the signature of a memorandum of understanding of all the stakeholders to change the research assessment on the publication. Of course, we need to change the way we evaluate, we make the peer review, because it's not always as quality oriented as we thought. And also we need to public data along with the publication, because if not, if our data are not findable, accessible, interoperable, or reusable, we cannot make our research replicable or reproducible. So the publication lacks of quality or lacks of credibility. So the society just not trust on science. So the effect of not publishing data is far away than the reproducibility or the replicability of a study, is just to give confidence to the research system. Of course, in education, there are a lot of misunderstandings my researchers in my university, every time I teach a course on open science, they say to me, well, but the open access journals, they are all predatory journals because you pay for that. And I say, it's not a predatory attitude to make a transformative agreement that you tell me that you are giving me for free publications in Gold Open Access when I'm paying the 4% of rise of the price of the subscription next year. This is not a predatory behavior. Excuse me, we have to put the points, the dots on top of the i's. This is a very Spanish expression, sorry. Quality and awareness. We also need to work on the reputation of the open access. In my opinion, openness is a clear inspiration for quality. And I always put this example when the COVID-19 situation, it was a paper, I think it was published in The Lancet, which is one of the very big reputation, a Q1 blah, blah, blah journals. And they published wrong information about the effect of the ibuprofen in the COVID-19 patients. The international community just killed that idea that was wrong in 2 days. If this paper was on their paywalls, only a very selective group of people will be capable to read that bullshit, and it will be kept in science for the
we are missing the connection with Eva for 1 second. Let's see if she comes back. Eva, can you hear us? Let me see. She's still with us, no?
Sorry, I think it was a
Yes.
down of my network, and
Right.
we lost the last slide. So we just come up again to that.
Excellent.
Because it's probably the last one. Sorry about that. We need to change the way we publish, not only papers, but also nano publications, data, software, the things that we can share as quick as possible to make science happen and make a collaborative research based on hypotheses, not based on results. We need also to publish negative and no results, because it's very expensive if you don't publish a paper that has a negative result to repeat it again, just for the will that we need to publish only the vaccines that they cover, not the vaccines that they don't work. It's more important to know, or at least as much important to know, what is the good and what is the bad in the experiments. Of course, we need to change the way we evaluate science. The journal impact factor is an anachronic and quantitative and absolutely biased indicator. That it makes sense in the 19th century when we published papers, but nowadays it doesn't make sense because we have more computational capabilities and digital approaches to evaluate science on the go in real time. And also, we need to give way of the copyright and the way we give credit. So this is what leads us to what I call the Open Science 2030, which is the RISA model that is laughed in Spanish. And I say that RRISA is because we are in the moment of responsible research and innovation, in rights retention strategy for the authors against the copyright based on the planet's perspective. And also we have to deal with the responsible research assessment that is farther than research evaluation. And I want to transform this week my mushroom in a parachute, because I think that science is like a parachute. If it is not open, it's not going to help you. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm very happy to contribute to the debate of the panel.
Thank you very much, Eva. Excellent conclusion. Thank you.
More information about library services can be found on our website, and don't forget to follow our blog and social media channels to stay up to date with the latest news.